Qiao Ling is the most important woman to both Cheng Xiaoshi and Lu Guang. So of course, they would always protect her to the best of their ability. But our queen is not just someone who is being protected because she is someone who protects others as well. Putting aside Lu Guang's time travels into the past, the main trio only learned martial arts after this case from season 1. So it means that in the Britain arc, she wasn't trained to fight yet. But despite that, she was able to beat up this loser in the anime convention. So if she was already strong enough to defeat amateurs before she learned martial arts, then what more once she is finally taught by a professional, right? Cheng Xiaoshi may have been considered as the strongest fighter among the main trio, but Qiao Ling is definitely a very close second. After all, she had such remarkable talent that she even overwhelmed the martial arts master. She had an opportunity to showcase her combat skills on this scene in season 2. Although she had fallen multiple times in this fight, that's actually expected on a battle between a newbie and a veteran. But no matter how many times she was taken down, she always gets up again. She even does that so impressively, like on this scene where she was thrown midair, but she immediately gets back on her feet and ready to attack again. At the beginning of this fight, this punk was underestimating our girl. But sometime after she had been landing hits on him, he started to desperately avoid her attacks. Cheng Xiaoshi is always in so much pain whenever she hits him, right? Well, it's not only him. Others find her attacks very deadly as well. One of them was even traumatized about it. On this scene, Cheng Xiaoshi was being forced to apologize to the father of the Liu brothers, even though he wasn't exactly successful in punching that swine. Upon seeing this, it made Qiao Ling really furious. Then the glorious slap happened. Oh, it's so satisfying to watch. When she somewhat dared Tianjin to sue her for doing a violent act against him, I like it that she used a man's pride and the prejudice against women to her advantage. She was able to accomplish multiple things with that single slap. Not only does she get to prove Cheng Xiaoshi's innocence for not being able to harm anyone anyway, but she can also get some satisfaction on taking revenge on this jerk for hurting the puppy. By the way, when Cheng Xiaoshi was a kid, we don't get to see Qiao Ling around whenever he gets bullied, right? Maybe it's because those kids were smart enough to mess with him only when Qiao Ling isn't around. You see, I think that if ever she had been around, she will definitely do something about it, like with what happened on this scene. After all, Tianjin was somewhat bullying Cheng Xiaoshi here, and Qiao Ling had literally saved him from that bully. Like us, Cheng Xiaoshi admired her so much for it. He was all smiles up to this scene where she was confirming whether he's alright. She looked so chill about it, as if she didn't just do something extraordinary. But you know what? I think what Qiao Ling did was also a gamble. Tianjin could still have proceeded to suing her if he sets aside his pride after all. So this means that Qiao Ling could still have gotten into trouble for what she did. But our girl is willing to risk herself being sued just to get Cheng Xiaoshi out of that mess. Which reminds me, this isn't the only time when Qiao Ling had protected Cheng Xiaoshi from something, legal. Remember this episode with Captain Xiao's first appearance? The boys looked uneasy at the presence of a police officer inside the studio. I suppose the boys can't help being a little alarmed because they did some activities that are kinda illegal. But thankfully, Qiao Ling was there to discreetly make the cop go away. Then in the Britain arc, she had also protected the boys from the police. Well, to be particular, she saved them from ending up in jail. She bailed them out, you see, and I doubt it was cheap. It wasn't mentioned whether she required them to pay her back for it or not, but I'd like to believe that she didn't, since, well, when she was yelling at Cheng Xiaoshi on this scene, she was like a family member who wants them back home as soon as possible. Back home, where she can watch over them and see them safe. She doesn't only get the boys out of trouble, but she also keeps them from getting into any potential danger as well. Remember this scene when she went after Chou Xin but made Shiguang stay? She aims to stop her friend from meeting the scammer, but in case she fails, she is willing to take the risk of facing that scammer. A scammer is technically still a criminal, right? So, meeting up with one is still dangerous. Like what we have witnessed, although Vivian herself may not have been the type to harm her targets, she works for people who do. So I believe that Qiao Ling wasn't only trying to save her friend, but she was also making sure that these two don't get involved in something dangerous. But if the boys do get caught up in something dangerous, we can expect her to make herself involved. In season 2, she went after the kidnapper to help rescue Cheng Xiaoshi. While on the hostage exchange situation, she agreed with what this criminal wanted just to help get Lu Guang back as soon as possible. We may not have seen her get kidnapped for another's sake like Lu Guang, nor have we seen her take a bullet to shield a loved one like Cheng Xiaoshi, but there's no denying that she is always willing to risk her life just to keep both Cheng Xiaoshi and Lu Guang safe. So in other words, she can totally do the sacrifices they did as well. But I hope such an event won't ever happen because looking at this scene already pains me a lot. Qiao Ling is someone we can trust to look after Shiguang. After all, both Cheng Xiaoshi and Lu Guang themselves trust in her as well. Lu Guang always entrusts Cheng Xiaoshi to her whenever he cannot look after the puppy himself. And I believe that the reason why Cheng Xiaoshi can leave behind an injured Lu Guang on this scene is because Qiao Ling will be with the kitty. Now that it has been confirmed that she has Li Tianxi's ability, then that means she would have more methods in protecting these two in season 3. On these visuals from the second season's ending theme, I think they are like foreshadowing of Qiao Ling monitoring Shiguang's movements using her power. So if they get separated, Qiao Ling herself will have a method of finding them easily. Anyway, no matter how much stronger Qiao Ling becomes in the future, we know that she will only be using that power to help and to protect others and her loved ones, just like these two. However, she may have some tendencies to become overprotective. When she was a kid, Qiao Ling overheard Cheng Xiaoshi's mother saying that if they care about the boy, they should never let him go to Britain. And since Qiao Ling cares, of course, she took that advice to heart. She didn't need any justification of that advice. It was from Cheng Xiaoshi's own mother after all, and she knows his mother would only want what's best for him. And it's the same for Qiao Ling. She only wants what's best for Cheng Xiaoshi too. So, if keeping him away from Britain will guarantee his safety, of course, she would follow that advice no matter what. Hence, their misunderstandings. Until the day she had no choice but to reveal the truth. She cared about him so much, She wanted to protect him so much, but maybe it was too much. He was hurt. And she was hurt as well. But was she really just being overprotective? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, let me know by clicking the like button. And as always, thank you for watching the first installment of the new Link Click video series. Hope to see you again with the next overprotective character or other content in the channel. Take care!